Energy moving through these city lights. 10 times the color scene. Every time I close my eyes. Good morning, everyone. This is Salt, aka Eddie Jacob, from in studio at Delray Beach Golf Club, and my colleague Pepper is at
MacArthur High School in Hollywood, Florida, at the Marcus McGee Summerfest 12 basketball tournament for fifth graders, JV girls, varsity boys and girls.
Welcome, everyone. We are really excited about today's guests. Not too often you get hot off a Final Four appearance, the head coach of Florida Atlantic University, Dusty May, and looking forward to talking to Toccara Williams, former WNBA player. Want to ask her some non-political questions about the WNBA, but great show, my friend. Well, first of all, the show couldn't be possible without the Jacob Companies. Don Perry, owner of the Jacob Companies, thank you. Preeminent builder of sports venues, stadiums, hotels, schools, hospitals, medical office buildings, luxury homes. So, Don, thank you so much. Also, Let's Go Golfwear. I've got one of their latest shirts on here. Great material, very loud, bold. I know they come out with a whole new line. If you go online, letsgogolfwear.com, get 20% off if you put in salt and pepper in their code. And Hilden Water, where I actually forgot to bring a couple bottles I had home. My wife had texted me on my way here. So, but Hilden Water, water to the Queen of England. Pepper, man,
now the King of England.
Now the King of England, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah,
hey,
the Queen has since passed. Yeah.
I tell you, I spent the whole day yesterday at the beach with my wife. It was such a gorgeous day down on the water with the breeze and everything, even though it was close to 90. And I don't know, man, the breathing in that ocean water, man, just makes you really relaxed and you sleep good. And I'm still in my kind of like sleep mode. So that's what I did yesterday. How about you?
Well, I was, fighting this damn cold for the last 4 days, and I think, this week, Crystal and I are gonna get out on the beach too, because I think that nice beach air will, do us good and clear up these sinuses and the scratchy throat and the coughing that I've had over the last 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it's it's rainy season here, which for those of you that don't live down in South Florida, pretty much you can count on a passing thunderstorm on pretty much a daily basis here. So, once that comes in and moves out, the humidity leaves with it, but it's pretty much on a daily basis here. So it's starting to heat up in paradise here. That's, the song I just played, and we'll talk to Coach Dusty May because I think all of FAU advertising is about playing in paradise, right? Going to school.
Yes.
So it was called Somewhere in Paradise was our opening. And hey, before Dusty comes on at 11:15, we got 11 minutes, man. I want to lead in, as far as, iconic figure had passed away, an alum from your school, Jim Brown. I'll let you speak to that, but from my perspective, the greatest football player, to ever live. And I'll just turn it over to you.
Jim Brown was probably the greatest collegiate athlete that there ever was. I mean, he played 4 sports at Syracuse, Great football player, lacrosse, basketball. Ran track. I mean, he did it all. I was fortunate enough to meet him my junior year. Well, between my junior and senior year, when they demolished Archibald Stadium and was going to build the dome. I was able to be part of that relay that put a piece of Archibald Stadium into the time capsule to be kept inside the dome. So, all our prayers go out to Jim Brown and his family. Not only was he a great athlete, but he was a great person, a great activist for African Americans and for human rights. And it's a great loss to everyone. I just saw a story the other day that Jim Brown's actual passion for acting and being part of the black community was something that was probably at the top of his list before football. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his family.
The contrasting story to that would be the Ja Morant story, and we could do a whole show on that. But Jim Brown epitomizes basically how you should go about your business. And I know we're going decades back, but when you contrast to some of the knuckleheads today, it's kind of sad, to be honest with you.
Well, the thing is, though, I don't know what John Moran was like when he was in college or when he was in high school. The thing is, guys that get a lot of money, sometimes we don't understand that we still have to be humble, we still have to be respectful, we still have to be role models, and money is not the answer to everything. There's always been sayings and songs and everything out that money is the root of all evil, and in some cases it shows more than others.
Hey, let's move on to NBA playoffs. I made a post this week. Jimmy Buckets reminds me of Dale Shackelford, my high school teammate, with his basketball IQ, old school. South Florida is crazy, and our guest coming up has a lot to do with South Florida sports and on the map with what's going on with the NBA playoffs. We came off the Final Four, and the Panthers. But what can you tell me about what you've been watching with the Heat, especially?
Well, I've been very impressed. Everybody says Jimmy Butler, and I think that that they have a cast of characters on their team that they know their role. They take advantage of every opportunity. As a whole, I mean, that team is just playing great, and kudos to coach and Pat Riley for building an organization like that. I think they've got quite a few undrafted players on that roster that are actually playing well, and it's a test to young kids to learn something today, as far as you don't have to be at a Division I major college. You don't have to get drafted into the NBA or anywhere to be a star. You just have to put the work ethic in the time in to be a better player.
I had actually a decent conversation with Coach Riley about 3 years ago when I was running Nicholas Children's Hospital Foundation. And I did not know this. He's from Rome, New York. He lived there till he was 4 years old. Then he moved to Schenectady. But I just remember picking up his book, and the one phrase I remember saying when he took over the Lakers job was, "You're either in or out." And I mean, that organization, top to bottom, I think is the best organization, not only in the NBA, but it might be in all of sports. I don't know if they're going to win, but they're in a pretty good position. Well, I was just going to say, I'm hoping my son could score a couple tickets for my wife and I for tonight's game, but he's got a couple clients that are on the team, but we'll see. But let's move on real quick because Coach May is in the bullpen here. NHL playoffs. Panthers. They won last night again in overtime.
It was a great game. Great game.
Hey, and you know the question I'm gonna it's not even a question. I'm just going to kind of state a fact to Coach May with the Layla Fernandez, Doug McLean thing. Anybody that touches the Salt and Pepper Show, good things happen. But we'll do that in a few minutes. But so we got the Heat, we got the Panthers, and then the other PGA story, final round, right, in our Central New York territory where we grew up. The Live versus the PGA. That it's the set for the second major. That's kind of what it's boiled down to. You got Brooksy going against basically the PGA.
Right.
Did you hear me, Dale?
Well, I'm going to go back to something that you posted. I can hear you. I'm going back to something that you play regarding Cole from Delray Beach. That was
Yeah.
PGA.
Yeah.
That was nice to see. So, we're steadily on the map. In South Florida.
The other story there is Michael Block, the head pro, right? The head professional who's going to be matched up with Rory today. Really down to earth guy. Big story. Hopefully he does well today. But I think it's going to come down to Brooksy and some of the and Bryson DeChambeau is there too. So we'll see how that plays out. Without further ado, we're going to bring in Coach May. We already feel like you've met him, right? But Coach, are you there?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Coach, we had about 4 or 5 weeks ago, we had Tobin Anderson on, and he sends his regards, and he spoke extremely highly of you. But to level set this whole thing, you don't know me. You might have met Dale at one of your practices through Bernie Frine and the Cardinal Gibbons deal. Mm-hmm. But Dale and I were high school teammates in Central New York at Utica Notre Dame. He's 2 years older than me. Dale's one of the top 50 players at Syracuse University. My dream was to play with him, right? And that didn't happen. I went to a Division III school, State University of New York at Potsdam, and played for Hall of Fame coach Jerry Welsh, whose son Timmy coached Providence for 10 years during the Big East days. Mm-hmm. And I was fortunate enough to play in 2 national championships and win one in 81. I don't even know if you were born yet, so that kind of tells you our age.
76. No, I was born.
But when we were in high school, we were known as Salt and Pepper, and I don't know, about 30 years went by, and about 2 or 3 years ago, Dale ended up in Delray Beach, and he was doing some post-Syracuse podcasts, and then COVID hit, and he came down here, and we decided, we were talking sports, we said, let's try to do this, and it kind of went viral. So we're in, Dale, you don't know this either, we just picked up our 11th country that views us. It's Poland, right? So a couple months ago it was Saudi Arabia, and we're all in 50 states. So, we're not social media gurus, but I think people appreciate, our perspective. We bill it as a non-politically correct show. And one of our biggest victories in our high school, and you wouldn't know this, but we took down Morgan Wooten and DeMatha in 1975 when they were ranked number 1. We beat them by 14 or 15 points, Jack?
14.
Yeah, 14 points. So that kind of level sets this whole thing. So kind of getting back to Tobin Anderson, it was pretty evident that the key to his success is his wife. So tell me a little bit about your family. And I know your wife, we do a little bit of research here. It's non-scripted. I know you felt, the minute you accepted the job, you had a little bit of anxiety, but you leaned on your wife. So talk about your high school sweetheart, what she's meant to you.
We have an interesting dynamic where she lets me coach basketball and make all professional decisions, and she makes every other decision as it pertains to our lives. So she doesn't try to analyze the jobs or whatever. It's usually just, would she enjoy living at a place, and would I be happy there, and would it make sense? So basically, after I had that moment, she just said, you've made the decision. Now it's time to basically get tough and get to work. So thankfully she did, because it refocused me. But very fortunate to have her. She raised our 3 boys almost as a single parent, as we're chasing the dreams as coaches. Because usually when you're younger, you got to work even more, and as you get older, you can kind of take a step back and not have to work quite as much. But yeah, she's been the rock behind our family for a lot of years. I wouldn't be in coaching if she didn't support me when I was younger. So very, very grateful for her.
Coach, you don't know this, but you and Dale, aka Pepper, have
Great
a
story.
connection. Go ahead, Dale.
Vibrant Night at Indiana was recruiting me back in 1975. The phone call one night, and my mom says it's Coach Knight from Indiana. She goes, "No,
You're coming in and out, Dale. You're coming in and out a little bit.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm outside in the breeze here. Said I'm Coach Knight from Indiana, and I said, call my high school coach up on him.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Dale. I don't know if you need to get into a better area, but
yeah. Let me try to take this headset out, see what happens.
no, I think it's just a bad connection where you're at. I know you're at a tournament in Hollywood. But Coach, basically what he was saying was in 75, Dale got recruited by virtually every college. Are you there, Dale? And Bobby Knight called him, and he didn't believe it, and he basically hung up on Coach Knight. And years later, at a dinner function, go ahead, Dale. I think you're coming in now. Dale.
Yeah, is it better now?
Yeah, much better. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead. Continue the story.
Yeah, so we're at Syracuse. Yeah, I got it. And Coach Knight was at our tip banquet at Syracuse. And all the years of my never had the phone on me and he pointed at me, and I had the whole crowd look at me and like you're crazy. My high school teammates playing a joke on me, so I apologize to point on. He's been very nice and very cool after all.
Yeah, Coach May, so you were with him actually. You graduated in 2000. That was his last year, correct? At Indiana?
Yeah, I was there his last 4 years.
And just talk a little bit about the influence, because where we went to school, we were a defense-oriented high school. I'm speaking to. We were coached defensively, as a priority, and obviously that's kind of what he hung his hat on. What were your takeaways from your experience with Coach Knight?
Well, first of all, his imprint was on the entire state of Indiana basketball, where high schools, we all tried to play like Indiana. And even Gene Cady at the time was the same way. We're aggressive, physical man-to-man defense and primarily motion offense. So the high school coaches coached like Coach Knight. He ran similar offenses as Coach Knight and played similar defense. So when I went, I'd played one-year Division II basketball and felt like I already had a good foundation. But when you go there and you work for him, the way he taught, his expertise in the game, it's an amazing how good of a teacher he is and was at that time. Preparation, attention to detail, the creativity, but most importantly, it's the toughness and the day-to-day approach. It's like everything else. We're talking about the heat a minute. You guys were talking about the heat a minute ago. And it's not some secret sauce. It's what they do every single day. It's what they live. And I think Coach Knight was a lot like that, where every single day you better be on your toes. You better be thinking ahead. You have to be anticipating any problems. So when there is a problem, you're ready to tackle it. So I think those are the things that make the greats the greats.
Do you I know he had some.
Now, Coach, we said in your.
Go ahead. I was going to say.
No, I was just going to say, Coach, we said Cardinal Gibbons High School and Bill Mack. We're cross talking here. Go ahead, Ed.
No, he had some health challenges recently. Do you still stay in contact with him?
No, I talked to his son Pat Knight a little bit, especially through the run. But no, I speak with people around him, and it wasn't as if Coach Knight and I ever had a personal relationship.
Okay.
So no, we don't speak like that. But it's awesome that he's back in Bloomington, where he's around people that really really care about him.
Go ahead, Dale.
Now we attended one of your practice, and your player intense in practice. Your coaching staff, you guys did an excellent job, and I try. You have to be a great player and put the time and effort in every day, day in and day out. After your practice, I said to our kids, they're nonstop. Nobody complains about anything. They run crazy. They hustle defense. They pass the ball to the passer. Everybody is able to score. Buy into that. But high schools today, everybody wants to be a scorer. And they don't understand the small things in the game, what win games for you.
Absolutely, and that's probably the most proud. Those are the proudest moments from the year when you hear people talk about how it wasn't just the winning; it was how our guys played the game. Like you said, Pepper, they were unselfish. They enjoyed passing it. They played incredibly hard, and even if you came to our practices, one of the things that we take a lot of pride in is going, like we work to get better, but providing an environment where guys don't want to leave. And you watch our practices, everyone hangs around, they're shooting, they're waiting on maybe there's someone to leave the court so they can shoot some more, play some one-on-one. So we have a culture where guys stick around, hang around the gym, and then even if they're tired, then they're sitting around talking and developing stronger relationships. So it's kind of throwback where typically now where everyone is kind of in their own world with their smartphones and whatever the case, they're in a rush to go get away from whatever they're doing. It's very rewarding to see our guys have those real authentic relationships and also enjoy putting in the work, because they do. They're as consistent as any group I've ever been around in 20 plus years.
Yeah, Coach, it's evident, and when we talk to
it definitely shows, and I try to kids that they.
Yeah, Dale, you're still breaking up. We usually do this. We're both in studio, so I apologize, Coach May.
I understand that.
But anyways, it was evident that Tobin's players really bought in to him as a person. It's just evident, and the same could be said about yourself. If you've been around the game, you could really feel and understand and see that the players really bought into their head coach.
Yeah. That was a unique team, FDU. They got so much better throughout the year. They evolved, and man, what a great story where it's tough to come in and completely flip a culture and have they had a terrible season the year before he got there to having a really good year. But yeah, they did a heck of a job. They were fun to compete against, and they reminded us of us a lot, where they were quick, they were smaller, but man, they really fought, and their toughness and intensity is probably the thing that stood out the most. Like us, I mean, we have skilled guys, but I think how hard we play is the thing that's our separator.
It's not only playing hard, but like I said before, your players, really buy into their head coach. You could tell it's evident. You don't see that very, very often, and that's kind of a special skill set. I don't want to say a player coach, but just they really, really. We can see they really, really respected you. One of the things how do you? It's very rare. Okay, I'll ask this question this way: it's very rare that you see people getting into the portal, transferring, or making a decision based on nil. You very rarely see I'm going to this school because of this academic program. And you had a special player, right? I think he's the only one you're losing, Michael Forrest, that actually didn't attend the Final Four practice because he had an engineering class. How being a young coach, having the success you have, like to me that would be a big challenge. And you could say I'm old school or whatnot, but how do you navigate through that process these days?
Well, a lot of young men come to college on athletic scholarships with intentions to study engineering, medicine, whatever the case. And because of the demands on their time, it's really, really difficult. So you have to be incredibly determined just to stay with it, because it's so easy just to change your major to something a little bit lighter. Where Mike Forrest, he's as stubborn and as hard headed as anyone I've ever been around, in a good way. And he was determined to do it no matter what. And we made a commitment to him and his parents that we were going to support him, and whatever needed to happen, as long as he worked with diligence and determination, we were going to support him in helping him get his engineering degree. So we told him, even when we were doing the scheduling of classes, hey, Mike's going to have to leave by noon this day. Do we change practice? I'm like, no, Mike will be there the first 45 minutes and he'll leave. And then he'll just come back in that evening and we'll get him up to speed with what he missed and maybe get him a light workout, things like that. But he worked so hard and he was so determined, and he always came back around to catch up on what he missed. So he had so much respect in our program. If it was someone else that didn't work so hard, maybe everybody would be looking cross-eyed. But Mike, he wanted to do it, and it's a testament because, like I said, I think it's my 24th year in college basketball, and I've never coached a Division I athlete that was able to graduate with an engineering degree just because of how stressful it is on your time and the demands of that program. So, man, it's a testament. I tip my cap to him. He's an awesome, awesome guy and a great ambassador for our program.
Dale, you got a question?
I mean, it's great when you have a leader. No, I just said it's great when you have a player that can be teammates look up to him. He's a great asset to the program.
Absolutely.
Now, Coach, is he the only one you're losing as far as your whole, your core roster coming back?
He is. We still have two guys that are testing the NBA draft waters, and they're trying to get feedback, see where they are. So, but we anticipate having our full team back. We signed one high school player, Devin Vanderpool, whose father David played in the NBA, was a Hall of Famer, St. Bonaventure, and was a longtime NBA assistant, a very good basketball coach as well. So we signed him. We have one scholarship now that we gave it to Alejandro a former walk-on last year. He earned that, and we may give it to him again. Or if there's someone long-term that can really help our program, then we'll consider bringing in one more high school player. But it looks like we're going to stay out of the portal this year. And we felt great about the chemistry. We felt like our locker room was probably one of our biggest strengths. So we didn't want to bring in anyone that might cause an interesting dynamic in the locker room. So we just wanted to run it back with the guys we have, and we do have faith that because our guys work so hard that everyone's going to get a little bit better, which will make us as a group significantly better.
Now, this is at the small college level, but in '79 I was a sophomore and we lost in the finals of the D3 championship to you might know this college, North Park, out of Chicago. When they had won like 3 or 4 straight NCAA D3 titles. So I was a sophomore, and the goal the next year and even the following year, I mean, that was the bar. We entered you could talk about taking one game at a time or whatever. My point is, like, from that point on, there was only one goal, and that was to win a national championship based on your success last year being, a last second bucket to play in the championship game. How do you what's your mindset as a coach, and what do you try to communicate to the team as you prepare where you said you got your core back? So what's the psychology that you're going to use in getting them to focus? Because as a player, that was the goal. It wasn't winning the conference. It wasn't this, even though we knew we had to do that to get to the ultimate challenge. Once you're really close, that is what is on your mind. At least it was on mine 24/7.
Well, before we begin, our goal will be to win a national championship. But as we get into the summer, the fall, and then into games, there's no reason for us to talk about something that's so far down the line. And so what our immediate objective is going to be is to get good enough where we're not in so many close games, because we were in 12 close games last season and we went 11-1, meaning basically one possession games. And typically at our level, if you're in 12 games, one possession games, you're probably going to be 6-6. Some years you might be 1-11, some years 11-1. The ball bounces differently. There's a lot of randomness winning and losing. So we've got to, in the meantime, make a big enough jump where we're not in so many one possession games. And then once you get in the tournament, it's matchups, it's everything other than just trying to win a national championship. You're trying to win that possession, that game. So obviously with the press and the recognition we're getting, our long-term goal is to win a national championship 100%. But we've got so many more intermediate goals before then that we have to achieve to get to where we're able to compete with the best in the country. We're not there yet, but we do feel like we have a chance. But like I said, we've got to improve and somehow avoid being in so many close games. We got to have a bigger margin night in, night out. So for us to do that, we have to get better.
Dale, you got anything?
Excuse me for a second. I had a little over in the gym that I was texting back, but we had two very talented twins here in Suns. They've both done great. They're both going to be in NBA. No, kept those guys here in South Florida for.
Pepper, you cut out. Were you talking about the Thompson twins?
Sir. Two very, very good yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you a quick story about the Thompson twins. As soon as we moved down here, my wife and I are trying to decide where to send our boys to high school. And so Joe Dawson at Grandview Prep, who I know well and have a lot of respect for, he asked my oldest son to play with them at Lynn team camp. And so I went and watched Jack play with Grandview guys, and they're playing against the Thompson twins. And at this point, I think the Thompson twins were just finished 8th grade. And we watched them play. And I told my wife, I said, Those guys, I said, I would take those guys today. Those guys could probably play for us right now. And obviously two young men going into high school, and I'm at a high level of Division I Conference USA, and they looked at me like I was crazy, this and that. And then 2 years later, in Fort Lauderdale at Pinecrest, they ripped our hearts out in a regular season game. And at that point, my wife and kids were thinking, you know what, you might be right. And then we saw on the draft boards last year that they were both top 5. And my wife said, "How did you know that?" I said, "Man, those guys are long, athletic, they're smart, but most importantly, they'll rip your heart out." And those dudes, man, they're special, because it's like I say about our guys, Giancarlo Rosado and Nick Boyd and these guys. When you have incredible intelligence and toughness, that's a lethal combination in this game, because usually those two, most guys don't possess both of those, elite level thinking and heart and toughness and tenacity. So the Thompson twins have that. So they're going to play a long time in the NBA.
I was part of the South Florida Pro coaching for a little bit during the summer, and those two guys were 0.5% of credit for those guys being as talented as they are. I mean, they were unbelievable, and I just hope that stay in the NBA, that they could eventually get on the same team. They shine together, because when I watch play, they feed off each other very well. So it'll be interesting to do without each other in the future.
Hey, Coach, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So one of the Heat players, Caleb Martin, him and his brother Cody Martin were very similar. They always played together. They went to college together. They did it, and now they've separated. And man, Caleb Martin's been a heck of a pickup for the Heat. And what a great story as well.
Coach, you're not. I don't want to give out your age, but you're not 50 yet, right, Coach?
Yes, yeah.
I'm 46.
Okay, you're 46. How does it feel at 46, your first head coaching job, to be, when you look at FAU, I know it's helped other sports, especially football. How does it feel to be the architect of doing something that reverberates throughout the whole college campus, not only on the sports side, but the academic side? Because I could tell you this, I ran the Red Cross for 4 years down here and Nicholas Children's Hospital on the philanthropy side. Boca, their tax rolls, they have a lot of donors there that want their names on buildings. So you're in a good spot. And when we were ahead of the game, we said that FAU is going to lock you up for a long time. I don't know if there's another place in the country relative to, raising money and leveraging what you accomplished last year throughout the university. Not a better place. So how does that make you feel being so young?
It's great to be at a place where there's a lot of potential for growth. When we took this job, it was a blank canvas and we were excited. And as a first-time head coach, you want to go someplace where you can experiment, you can figure out who you're going to be and how you want to coach and not be criticized for every move. As we see Joel Mazzulla for the Celtics. I mean, he's a first-time head coach. And I know 5 years in, I'm 100 times better than I was in year one. And hopefully in year 10, I'm 100 times better than I was in year 5 because I'm obsessed with trying to improve. So to be at a place where once you can get it established, and we have a little bit, not to where we want to get to, but to have the potential growth and potential donors and things like that, because a lot of places don't have the economic capabilities that we have here in Palm Beach County and Boca Raton. So that was one of the reasons that our staff, we really wanted to stay. Obviously, number one was our players. Number two is our administration. But number three was the opportunity for growth. We feel like we can really turn this into perennial power. And to do that, we need a lot of people to jump on board and help. And we're moving in that direction now.
I have two things, and I'll turn it over to Pepper. One is our first guest a couple years ago when we started doing this was Lynn coach Jeff Price. He's a good friend of ours, and he speaks extremely highly of you. I know, he said he's gracious that you schedule him like the first exhibition of the year. Mm-hmm. Just nothing but positives to say about you. And I want to let you know, okay, being on this show, good things happen to people. A few years ago, when nobody knew who she was, we did a show at Center Court at the Delray Tennis Center. We interviewed a young girl named Layla Fernandez in February. In September of that year, she's playing in the finals of the U.S. Open, okay? About, 3 months ago, Dale, we interviewed the one time the Florida Panthers made it to the NHL. We interviewed Doug McLean was the head coach. And he actually plays golf here at Delray Club. And they won again last night in overtime. So I don't want you to forget this day, okay? Hopefully next year something really, really good will happen to you. But for whatever reason, Salt and Pepper Show puts out some good, positive, successful vibes. From my perspective, I appreciate your time, Pepper. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I'm sorry, Coach, that I'm fading and out. Many basketball responsibilities that I inherited when I came to Florida was helping Marcus run these tournaments. I'm here at MacArthur High School down in Florida, trying to keep. We got a couple of issues going on right now. My cell phone, which I was supposed to be playing in the semifinals of a game at 11:30 that can't make it. So some kids to play against the team. Just parents would be happy, and we can keep this rolling here.
Yep. Well, Pepper, Cliff Duaney is a close friend of mine, a Syracuse national champion. So he lives here local now. His daughters are great tennis players. He moved to the area for tennis reasons. So it's been really great to reconnect with him. I grew up with his older brother, Duaney. So and then obviously with Coach Fine, we have a lot of Syracuse in this area.
Hey, Coach, one last thing. Some alum that play here out of the Delray Beach Golf Club.
Yeah, actually, Coach Fine. Oh, good.
Yeah, go ahead. Speak about Coach Fine.
No, I was just going to say that he's mentioned about coming to your games and everything, and one of his things were that he in certain situations, mistake or players, 100% doing what we're trying to get him to do. That you 10 minutes or so.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, real quick, a couple alumni play golf here, and they're donors actually to the FAU program. They said you're a tennis player. Is that correct?
No, I enjoy playing tennis for exercise, and there's tiers on our staff. There's a couple of us that are really, really bad, but we enjoy the competition of playing against another bad player. But I enjoy playing. I've never held a racket until I moved to Boca, but I have enjoyed getting outside and using it as a form of exercise. But I would not call myself a tennis player. I do have a racket, though.
And in one of our correspondence, I had mentioned the head pro here. His name is Rick Durham. He's facing some health challenges, and he was on the first golf team at FAU when it was an NAI school. Okay. And he's working actually now, and I invited him to come on, but he wanted to personally invite you for a round of golf here. Okay. He's a collector. And he's got some FAU golf balls that he'd like you to sign him. So whenever you have convenience, contact us. You got our community, our contact stuff. We'll get you set up here.
Yep, you just give him my number, and he can reach out. Just shoot me a text or whatever the case.
Well, Coach, man, thank you so much. From my perspective, this is one of our best shows. We really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're extremely busy. Much appreciate, and anything we can do to help you out. For all the high school players up north, from our neck of the woods, upstate and central New York, it's not a bad deal when you take the north entrance of FAU and you hang a right on Spanish River. You're about a mile to one of the nicest beaches around. It's True. Not a bad gig in Boca Raton.
No, not at all. Not at all. But I appreciate you guys for having me on.
All right, Coach. Thanks again.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
You there? Are you there? Dale, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, you're in and out. I think it was the connection. But anyways, some good insight.
Here, and it's probably bouncing off in the.
So we're waiting for Toccara. Let's see. What's your takeaway, Dale, from talking to Coach May?
Well, like I said, I've been at their games and everything, and I think that him and his staff, they have the ideas and the chemistry, to maintain it properly, build their program. The kids, they seem to love the coaching staff, doing thing with each other. I mean, that's unusual to say that the players are hanging around together, and instead of getting on their cell phones and looking at, they're shooting with each other and talking to each other about life in general. So that's a great thing. It's good to have players, leaders like that. Program maintains a stable foundation.
Yeah, it's. I think he's building something special there. I think a lot of people don't understand how big FAU is, and to get the exposure they did last year. I know the new football coach is benefiting from what the basketball side did. But hey, while we're waiting for Toccara, have you been following Syracuse and some of their recent new recruits?
Yeah. I just got the kid transfer from Kansas. Mintz is testing the waters, in NBA, and they're picking up some guards to fill in just in case he's fortunate enough to make it.
Yeah, I think some of the feedback, at least from some of the followers of Syracuse basketball, they're saying there's a lot of guards and wingmen, but there's not a lot of big men coming in. So it's probably a work in progress.
Well, they've got
But,
four centers, and they over the years they haven't really used big men very well over the past few years. I mean, it showed a lot with Jesse Edwards. Jesse was a force inside for them, and they just didn't give him the ball enough, and didn't give him many opportunities on the offensive end. So a center going to Syracuse has probably seen that over the years, that they're not utilized the way they want to be. And the good ones aren't committing to Syracuse. But I think with Adrian Autry change that dynamic, and get the centers more involved in the offensive part of the game.
Mm-hmm. So Toccara just said she's going to be checking on. So Toccara Williams is a former Texas A&M point guard. She's from Hollywood, Florida. She is a WNBA player, and I've got some since the WNBA just, I guess, opened up their season this week. I want to ask her some non-politically correct questions, and it'll be interesting to get her comments. But kind of getting back to the NBA playoffs as we wait. Denver's up 3-0. I made a comment after the second. And to me, I just don't see Lakers winning in Denver. And then I actually thought they might actually win the third game in LA, but Father Time. That's the way I look at it, right? As far as LeBron goes, Anthony Davis, you don't know what you're going to get. And people were high on D'Angelo Russell. I wasn't. I know he had a good playoff series, prior to this one, but I don't know. I don't see it. It's a zero-sum game, man. Right? It's not how many times you get to the NBA Finals, right? It's how many times you win, right?
And you maintain that winning chemistry, and I'm glad that Denver is starting to get the recognition. Well, I can't say they're starting to get the recognition they need. They're showing people that they deserve more recognition than they're getting. And Nikola Jokic is, he's the real deal. He proved that he deserved it. Back-to-back MVPs. He should have been the MVP this year with the numbers that he had, and the difference he makes in his team. I mean, it shows. I mean, he's probably the best passing big man in the NBA right now. He's the best rebounder in the NBA right now as a big man, and he can put the numbers up offensively if he needs to be. He gets everybody involved. They run around him.
Toccara, good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good. It looks like you're in a conference room there. Is that just the backdrop you got going on there?
Yeah, that's my cool virtual office.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We just had a great.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Pepper, aka Pepper. Let me give you a level set. Dale and I, aka Salt and Pepper, we're high school teammates.
All right.
And Dale's one of the top 50 players in Syracuse University basketball history. And my dream was to play with him. That didn't happen. So I went to a Division III school that won a national championship in '81.
All right.
And we didn't see each other for a long, long time. And he ended up in Delray Beach a few years ago. And we started to kick off this podcast, which, by the way, I think you offer consulting services for social media. We'll have to talk to you because, we're novices, but we are viewed in 11 countries in all 50 states. And we offer some non-politically correct, good perspective on things. So thanks for joining us. The first thing I want to say, we had, I believe your cousin, right?
Yes, Travis Daniels.
So the one, I've been down here 8 years. Dale's been down here, what, three or 4 years, Dale?
It'd be 4 years in June.
Okay. So we're from central upstate New York. So the family lineage down here of athletes blows our minds, right? We interviewed Tony Sands, right, from Florida, his uncle, Michael Irving. You got the connection with Travis. What's going on down here? Can you speak to that? Because this is really amazing. Like, people up north don't understand But this is just we find this out every day down here as far as bringing people on that, who their family lineage is, the pedigree, and so forth. Can you speak to that at all?
I think with a lot of us, we all kind of grew up together. We were tight knit. We played on the playgrounds together, parks, and we participated in all sports. It just wasn't limited to the respective sport that we probably went professional in. Travis definitely played with me in basketball. I actually played with him in football too. My mom used to take us to football camps, and I was their quarterback. So I had this explosive receiver, awesome cornerback, running back, you name it. So I just think the diversification in all the sports that we played, and we all played against each other, just talking trash to one another, trying to make each other better. And it just helps us along the way. I don't think we even had that in our minds of where we could take it. We were just doing something as kids to pass time and just being competitive.
Go ahead, Dale. Dale's actually in Hollywood right now, and that's where you're from.
Well,
right?
I'm going to say this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm at school doing a basketball tournament for the South Florida Pro, the Jam Fest 12. And I might have a bad connection here, so I'm going to my mic a little bit. But Florida, I'm assistant coach at Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale, high school basketball. And on the girls' level, young women's level, what I was saying, for high school, I mean, I watch some of these young ladies out there playing, and I mean, their fundamentals are, through the roof. And there's way that, just get this, inherit. I mean, they've got to go out and work hard. They do everything in a fashion. It seems like it comes easy for them. I don't know if it's that I'm not saying dynamics. Boys tend to think that they're great and they don't have to work as hard. These young ladies just come out and they handle the ball well, they pass the ball well, they shoot well. Defensively, they make great adjustments. Give your take on how women's ball, from the high school and the middle school level has evolved over the years.
So I think what happens is, when I was growing up, the competition, I had to play against the guys. In order to get better, I needed to play against guys because there were not a lot of girls participating in sports at the time. Now you have more girls participating, and they're starting younger. So that's better for the game. It's better for the sport, because when you start learning these things at a younger age and there's a greater quantity amount. Oh, I kind of lost you guys. There we go. Do you guys see me?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
there we go. Yep. So when you start younger, when you start younger, I just think it builds that morale, it builds that confidence, and all the things that you can learn at a younger age versus when you're older, like 9th grade, 10th grade, it's instilled in you very early. So for me, I had to play against the guys early. There were not a lot of girls around playing. And those girls that did play with me, we all grew up together. We went to high school together, and we set our legacy. We started our legacy from our high school and beyond. So I just think with girls participating earlier in sports, getting involved, definitely the parents as well, you're starting to see the evolution of the game. They're more athletic. These girls are phenomenal. You got girls dunking now. You didn't see that when I was coming up. So to see that now is definitely is awesome.
So we asked Travis this, and I just wanted to get your take because you had some twins down at the University of Miami playing. What's your take on the nil? We posed the question to we had Dusty May, we had Tobin Anderson who took FDU on that crazy ride. You very rarely hear a high school athlete, men's, women's, making a decision to go to this school because of the academic program. It's like how do you feel about that?
Man, I was the NIL was out when I was playing basketball, when we were in sports, and definitely you guys as well, because you would have been
right.
Exactly. I just think it adds a different level for them. It gives more options. When we came out and when we were playing, we were trying to we just wanted to compete. So that's all we had at the forefront for us. We wanted to compete. These kids now, they understand their platforms, they understand their leverage, and they are taking full advantage of the tools that's given to them. I feel great that we paved the path for them and opened the door for them, and they've kicked it down.
But do you have? I guess the question I have though is, you read about an athlete, he committed here, but he took his commitment away and he went here because the NIL package it wasn't about the academic piece. Like at some point, and we're going to talk about your transition from athletics to business, but I just hope that doesn't, at some point that nil money is going to run out and you need to fall back on something. And, we might be old school, but at the end of the day, you got to fall back on something business wise. And there just needs to, from my perspective, there needs to be guardrails. Actually, Travis had said tie it into a graduation rate or something like that. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, so I think what's going to have to happen with athletes, you're definitely going to understand something. There's a saying, all money isn't good money, right? You can just go for the money, but money runs out at some point. That's a tangible thing. You can touch it. When you're trying to select the school that you should go to, it shouldn't be just for the money. It should be about those intangibles, the relationships you're going to build. What will that coaching staff, what will that school provide to you? Because at the end of the day, when you can't play your sport anymore, we all get to that point where our athletic abilities start to demise. It gets taken away because of age or injury or contract negotiations. You need to fall back on your mind. That's what got you to the place you are in the first place, your mindset. So what can it academically, a university feed you? Mindset, relationships. Those are the things that's going to carry you throughout, number one, your athletic career and in business as well. So if you just go in it for the money, that's going to show. You're not going to be locked into what's important for the team, what's important for the university. You're just going for the money, and that's not always a good thing.
Go ahead, Dale. I'm waiting for you. There's a little bit of pause on my end.
I just had a little breeze come through. I'm outdoors underneath me trying to stay out of this 90 down here in Hollywood before I go back to this. But, there's not a lot of money in the WNBA. A lot of the young way. What does the WNBA need to do to get on a level to where these young ladies will only have to play here in the States and not have to play 24/7 a year or 12 months a year in other countries?
So what I think has to happen there, number one, is marketing, right? You got to get butts in the seats. And we're always comparing this. I get this question a lot, but we're comparing the NBA, who is about 76 years old, to a 26-year-old league. Now imagine you at 75, how much knowledge, how much tenure, how much experience you have versus something that's 26 years old trying to figure out its way, right? Even if we just put it people to people. A 26-year-old will not have the same experience and knowledge as that 76-year-old. But I just think that the continued growth and evolution of women's sports, utilizing the social media platforms we have to constantly put it out there, the exposure. I think the Final Four for women's basketball this past year was key. Why? Because it put the highlight on the girls that's coming up going to the professional ranks. But we got to remember what happens. When you are in college, remember you're tied to an alumni base that is superb. I mean, it's massive. When you start getting to the professional ranks, it starts to dwindle down because the pride of your school and the pride of the WNBA team is not yet there. But in the NBA, it's totally different. They've been around for a long time. We follow these guys. So you just gotta, it's the comparing and contrasting, which I don't think is fair because we're comparing something that has the data to prove why they are where they are. And we're growing the WNBA, and it is growing. It may be at a slower rate, but it is growing.
Yeah, you answered. I mean, you answered the question, my question. I mean, we've talked about this on our show. Like I've said, whoever runs marketing for the WNBA, they need to look at the NCAA women's tournament and look at it and pull something from there. Because I'll be honest with you, like I am into women's college basketball, but you got to get me to turn that on a daily or weekly basis to the W. That's not on me. That's on whoever's running the league or the marketing or whatever. And they have to figure that out. You bring up a good point. But at the same time, this is, and we say what's on our mind. If it's a business, all right, there's not a lot of profitability over these years. And I get your point. It takes time. But at the same time, the whole equal pay thing, isn't that related? You're a businesswoman, right? Isn't that related to putting people in the seats and so forth? So there's a balancing act there. Am I right or wrong?
No, you're spot on with that. And I think we got to do more. If you want more, you got to do more. So we have to be out in the communities more. People have to know. That's why you got to use social media for what it is. It's exposure. People have to know when these games are being played. Like right now, there's games being played today. Do people really know? We got to do a better job at putting it out in the forefront. With the NCAA, the women's tournament, somehow, some way, I don't know if we can get the WNBA to change their scheduling to come on right after. There should be no break because the emotional level is high with people tuned into women's basketball. And when it's that high, you got to capture them.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I mean, just the 5-10 minutes we're talking, I could tell why you're successful. Yeah. Hey, real quick, I looked at your stats at Texas A&M, and they're pretty much identical to mine. I know there were 3 years I'm looking at. I played 4 years, but I was a career at 12.9 points per game. I had 802 assists over 4 years. I think you got me on the steals because Big 12 all-time steal leader and so forth. But we got to meet in person because it's kind of like a mirror image of what I did in college. But talk about your time there at Texas A&M and why. We asked Travis this, that how did granted he played for Lou Saban for 7 straight years, but how did the University of Miami, let him leave the state of Miami? How did Toccara Williams go to Texas instead of the state of Miami?
I want to change. I wanted to see something different. So I did want to be outside of Florida. And when I went to visit Texas A&M, you know what? That's why I'm saying those intangibles, the atmosphere, the tradition, the camaraderie, walking right on campus. At Texas A&M, we say howdy. And everywhere I went on campus, there was someone who didn't know me, didn't know I was on a visit, saying howdy, howdy. And it just made it feel like home. So that atmosphere, my coaches, Peggy Gillum, who was the assistant coach for Van Chancellor, she was also the assistant on the USA Olympic team. So I knew what my end goal was. I wanted to get to the WNBA, and she was with the person that won 4 championships in the WNBA, also coaching with the Olympic team. And my conversations with her, Liz McQuitter, Jeff Caldwell, it was awesome. I mean, everything that I wanted was right there. And I knew from that visit, I wanted to be there. The 12th man tradition is undefeated. And you will hear there's no spirit like Aggieland. It isn't. When you walk on that campus, you know for sure that's where you want to be.
Wow. That's with a passion. That's coming with passion. Shaq, you got anything?
Hey, I appreciate you taking part on a Sunday to come on our show. Everything is very interesting. Hopefully, we have some parents and ladies listening to you, and get some what it is like to be at a major college and play professional.
Yeah. Hey, I saw a picture of you and LT, the GOAT, and we got a little bit of a connection there, and we're hoping to get LT on. But one of the women's teams, in fact, we actually did a couple of their games. Is Westminster Academy. They got a crew. I know as 4 freshmen started, you got Joe Girardi, the manager of the Yankees' daughter. You got Abby. I don't know if you know these names or follow, but Abby Price, Coach Jeff Price, who actually was our first guest on our show 2 years ago. I think she graduated, but Barney, I don't know where she went to school, but they have a crew, and we follow them. And of course, where Dale's at Cardinal Gibbons, I think they won the regionals last year.
Yep.
So tell us the transition. You're extremely successful. The real estate mogul, right?
Yeah.
I'm in real estate too, but how did that happen?
It happened like this, unorthodox. As I was playing professional basketball, my sports agent said to Toccara, you need to get your real estate license. And I was like, I know nothing about real estate. Why would I get my license? And she was like, well, I'm in California. You're based out of Florida. We can refer each other deals and get paid. I'm like, wait, so my license can get me paid just because I told you someone wants to purchase a house or sell a house? And she's like, yeah. I was like, all right, well, let me see what it's about. I got my license, got educated in the industry, and we never did a deal. To this day, we never did a deal. But I actually liked it. It fits what I do. As a point guard, we're always assisting people. We're putting people in the best position possible to succeed, to score. And in real estate, I just feel like it's the same thing. You kind of put people in the same positions, whether their goal is to sell or to purchase. You put them in position to do that. And I just think with my skill set of being a point guard, it makes it easier for me to navigate through.
I mean, I've been starting to follow you, since having Travis on, and I just got one of our viewers had said that you are one of only two NCAA Division I women's players to have recorded a steal in each game of her career, and is the only one of two to have also recorded an assist in each of your college games.
Yes.
So our viewers are passionate here.
No, that was the game that I have no clue about what game.
Yeah, we lost Dale a little bit here, but I apologize on that. But we might reach out to you to help us with our show here, because we have a lot of interest, but we're not let me just get.
So is this?
I hear the sneakers going on the court,
game that was
Yeah,
right now, girls game.
I love it.
Dale is at MacArthur High School, and you're from Hollywood, right?
Yeah. So I wonder if my high school coach is there, Coach Abby Ward. She was the past coach there, so maybe she's there where he is today. Are they having a tournament?
He works for Marcus McGee.
Okay. All right. He's doing some tournaments.
Yeah, he's doing some tournaments right now. So that's why he has to step out, and the connection is a little bit stuttered here. But this was great. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I think we're going to reach out to you, and we're going to keep this relationship going. Okay. And congratulations on all your athletic success, but now most importantly, as we all move on in life, right, our business success and so forth. So thank you so much, and we'll be reaching out to you for some help.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. Great conversation. I always love to talk sports.
All right, take care, Toccara. Thanks.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot.
All right, everyone. Pepper is had bad connections throughout. We apologize for that, but it's on occasion he needs to be remote at some of these tournaments. But we hope that you enjoyed today. Like I said, we try to bring you top flight guests and ask some questions and get discussion that might not be the cookie cutter ESPN type interviews and so forth. So stick with us, share our page. You can view this live on our YouTube channel, which is Salt Pepper Show 1033. Of course, Facebook and Instagram. When we have in studio guests, we can get it on Instagram Live. And also my profile on LinkedIn, which has grown to about 1,000 people view this thing on LinkedIn, which is good for anybody that wants to get out to the business community. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Sit back for everybody from our home area. I know some of you are in Rochester at Oak Hill. Hopefully the weather's been better. And we appreciate it. Take care, guys.